Welcome to this episode of The Wisdom of Paramahansa Yogananda, brought to you by Self-Realization Fellowship, where each week you can receive inspiration and guidance from Paramahansa Yogananda's Kriya Yoga teachings. This talk is entitled At the Feet of the Guru, Studying the New SRF Lessons by Brother Saralananda.
The title of our class today is At the Feet of the Guru, Studying the New Edition of the Self-Realization Fellowship Lessons. For those of you who are new to Self-Realization Fellowship, the lessons are a home study course on the science of Kriya Yoga and the art of balanced spiritual living, which Paramahansa Yogananda taught in order to help people find God, to help them expand their consciousness in meditation beyond the little physical form, in order to intuitively realize their oneness with God's consciousness. He taught that that was the highest goal in life, to unite our consciousness with God's vast, joyous, loving consciousness. And today I'd like to start our class by practicing one affirmation that was given to us by Paramahansa Yogananda, whom we reverently refer also to as Guruji or Master. This affirmation highlights how having a relaxed, calm state of mind puts us in greater attunement with God's love, peace, and wisdom. So please sit in the upright meditation posture. The spine is erect, the chin is parallel to the floor. Our hands with our palms upturned can rest on our thighs at the juncture of the thighs and the abdomen. And then we gently lift our gaze upward, close our eyes, and focus our attention at the point between the eyebrows. This is called the Christ center. It is the seat of concentration in the body, and it is a very sensitive spiritual center that eventually we can perceive something of God's peace, God's light, God's joy at that center. So again, please sit in the upright meditation posture, close your eyes, lift your gaze and your attention to the Christ center. And we'll start by exhaling through the mouth with a double exhalation. So just then inhale through the nostrils, breathing in, filling the lungs. Then tense the body, hold that tension, and double exhalation and relax. Breathe in again through the nostrils, filling the lungs. Tense the body, breathe out and relax. One more time. Breathe in, tense the body, breathe out and relax. Now just breathe normally. And I'll read through the affirmation once, and then we can practice it together. The affirmation goes, I relax and cast aside all mental burdens, allowing God to express through me His perfect love, peace, and wisdom. So please repeat after me. I relax and cast aside all mental burdens, allowing God to express through me His perfect love, peace, and wisdom. I relax and cast aside all mental burdens, allowing God to express through me His perfect love, peace, and wisdom. I relax and cast aside all mental burdens, allowing God to express through me His perfect love, peace, and wisdom. I relax and cast aside all mental burdens, allowing God to express through me His perfect love, peace, and wisdom. And now let us just enjoy that inner feeling of peace for a few moments. at all times, but especially during challenging times like these that we're living through. It is helpful to know a way to maintain our inner calmness, because this helps us to take greater advantage of the blessings and the comfort and the support that God is always trying to give to us. Maintaining more calmness in our consciousness helps us to be intuitively receptive to God. During a certain period in Master's life, he would give classes to the devotees, to the students, on Thursday evenings. And at the beginning of those classes, he would pray a prayer to God out loud, putting all his heart, mind, and soul into what he was saying to God. And then sometimes after that, he would simply go into samadhi, into ecstasy with God, where his consciousness just felt that infinite oneness with God's love, peace, bliss. And there would be no more words. They would just sit there in meditation, in silence. And one of the devotees who was present said, "We did not mind not having a longer discourse. We were all so uplifted with him that it encouraged us on and on and on in our own efforts to have that communion." And at other times, other classes, he would, after his opening prayer, he would simply continue to talk on a certain spiritual subject. And the powerful vibrations of his God consciousness behind his words would again uplift everyone who was present. Now, this upliftment in consciousness of all the devotees who were present happened because of two things. First, those powerful vibrations of God consciousness that were emanating from the Guru. And then also the calm, receptive state of mind of those who were present. This allowed them to feel those vibrations coming from the Guru, and it uplifted them toward a deeper perception of God's presence. And because our Guru's consciousness is eternal and omnipresent, when we reverently read his teachings with a calm, receptive state of consciousness, we too can experience this upliftment of our consciousness. Master explained, reading scripture or words of enlightened masters with the method of intuitive study taught in these lessons also puts into operation that law of vibratory exchange between a guru and recipient chela, disciple. Whether by personal contact with a guru or by absorption of his spirit through his teachings, those who are receptive feel transported into a higher consciousness of God perception, pouring into their hearts and minds through the Master's words. When I was young, I could perform one miracle. Now, it may not seem like a miracle to you, but to me, it seemed miraculous. One day, someone showed me how if you perfectly tune two nearby guitar strings to each other, and then you just pluck one of them so it begins to vibrate, without touching that second string begins to vibrate. It's just near enough to the first string, and it's perfectly in tune. And so there is this vibratory exchange that happens, and it enlivens the second string, and they begin to vibrate together. When we reverently study the Guru's teachings, we are tuning in our consciousness with his high state of consciousness. And those vibrations coming from his consciousness begin to lift our consciousness toward his state. And we can, in a greater way, then receive the blessings, the love, the peace, the joy that he is pouring into our souls. Sri Daya Mata and Sri Mrinalini Mata, two of our beloved former presidents, wrote, "Through the Self-Realization Fellowship Lessons, feel that you are sitting at the feet of the Guru, Paramahansa Yogananda, sharing his divine insights into the realm of spirit. When you study and each time you meditate, make that presence real to you. Seek his help and tune in with the transforming power of his love and wisdom." While many teachers can impart temporary inspiration, only an advanced master can transmit the vibratory power of God that changes the brain and inner being of the receptive disciple. A true liberated Guru's words are living. They're instrumental in conveying that unseen power of the Guru's blessings to the disciple attuned with him. Guruji once said, "Vibrations that I send forth to students of the lessons remain with them, and quietly, when they take up study of the printed notes, those vibrations will be revived. These precepts are not understood through the medium of the intellect. This is a study that must be from soul to soul." Over the years, so much wisdom and guidance, so many blessings and inspirations will flow from the Guru's soul to our soul. And the calmer we are as we study, the more receptive and open we are to receive consciously that uplifting vibration, those uplifting blessings that help us to get in greater tune with God. Now, this is part of the reason why Master says we should try to find a quiet, restful place to study. Now, in your life, it may be a challenge to find a quiet, restful place right now. One of the definitions of an alarm clock is a device that is necessary for those who do not have young children. So if you're having difficulty finding a quiet, restful place right now, do your best. God understands all our struggles. And if you have a quiet, restful place, count your blessings. That's the environment we want to have when we're reverently studying our Guru's teachings. In that quiet, in that calm environment, intuition can more strongly flow. At the beginning of our study periods, it is important that we consciously put ourselves into a calm, devotional, concentrated frame of mind. One of the ways we can do this is to think that the Guru is very near and just close our eyes, visualize him at the Christ center, and try to feel his nearness. Try to be open and receptive to that divine presence that is always there. The Guru is always with the disciple. Another thing we can do is to deeply pray the prayer that is on the third page of each lesson. Pray that prayer, feeling that we are praying it with Master, trying to tune in with the vibration of his consciousness when he first prayed that prayer to God. Again, he prayed with all his heart, mind, and soul when he spoke to God. In an editor's note in the new lessons, it says, use the opening invocation, that's that opening prayer, to shift your consciousness from outer concerns to a state of devotional receptivity. Paramahansa Yogananda always began his classes for lesson students with such an invocation from his heart. He did this to impart to the students the vibration of his own perception of and relationship with God, and to put the students in a devotionally receptive frame of mind. Receptivity to the transmission of sacred knowledge is a definite art, and reading these prayers with that in mind will enhance your experience of the vibratory transmission of the Guru's divine consciousness through his words. So as we reverently pray that prayer, those sacred words of the Guru can convey to us part of the divine vibration of his consciousness. And that can help us to deeply go into a calm, reverent state of consciousness where we're very open, very receptive, more intuitive to God's living presence, to Guru's living presence. At the beginning of one class, Master said, "Pray with me and let the yearning of your soul be behind your words." So let's practice this together today. Please sit in the upright meditation posture. Lift your gaze gently, close your eyes, focus your attention at the point between the eyebrows, the Christ center. Visualize Paramahansa Yogananda is there and feel the blessings that he is radiating to your soul. Feel you are sitting at the feet of the Guru. Again, Master said, "Pray with me and let the yearning of your soul be behind your words." So please repeat after me as I read his prayer. Heavenly Father, fill us with the love that flows from thy being, the devotion roused by thy presence, the wisdom immanent in thy personality. Make us feel thou art living in the sanctuary of every cell, in our willpower, in every desire, and on the altar of our souls. Deeply praying this prayer puts us in a state of devotional receptivity. Again, it heightens our intuition, allows us to feel more of the blessings that are flowing from the Guru. This booklet, A Message of Welcome from Self-Realization Fellowship, which is sent to all the lesson students, was written by Sri Daya Mata and Sri Mrinalini Mata. And in it, there's a section that is titled The Best Technique of Spiritual Study. And it covers the method of study that Master recommended. And I'd like to share with you now some of the key points in this welcome booklet, and also some of the key points in a class that Mrinalini Ma gave when she was giving some instruction on how to study the lessons. So in the first phase of studying a lesson, the welcome booklet states, read over the entire lesson once, trying to grasp its overall essence. Do not break the continuity of thought to ponder points not immediately clear to you. So we can read through the lesson once, and if you're a slow reader like I am, that can take longer than one study period, and that's fine. You just go at your own reading pace. Then we read through the lesson a second time, and the instructions are, now begin reading again. But this time, read through only one paragraph at a time, and focusing your full attention on its meaning, weigh the importance of the words in your mind. Regarding this step, Mrinalini Ma said further, read those lines and then stop. Close your eyes and meditate on them. For at least a brief time, think about the essential point and go over it again and again in your mind. Do this long enough to discover what that thought really means. In other words, really assimilate it. From lesson 2 onwards, on the second page of each lesson, Master gives some tips on studying in a deeper, more intuitive way. And in one of the lessons he states, read every word carefully and inwardly digest the message. Do not allow yourself to be distracted. Permit each thought to filter through your mind slowly. In this way, you will absorb the knowledge in these lessons more thoroughly. And then he gave the following instructions, and I'd like again to have us all do this together today. He said, sit upright, take a deep breath, and exhale. With the exhalation, breathe out all restless thoughts from your mind. Keep the body and mind motionless. And now absorb everything I say unto your soul. I want you not only to listen with attention, but to absorb deeply the spirit behind my words. Behind all of Master's words is that vibration of his divine, God-conscious state. As we study, we're wanting to absorb more and more of that living vibration that comes to us through reverent study of his teachings. So now let us dwell on these words from Master from Lesson 3. Please close your eyes, put your attention at the Christ Center, and I'll read through each line twice so we can dwell on it. Master said, when the love of God comes to you, it will overwhelm your heart with a fulfillment unequaled by the nectar of 1,000 million human loves. When the love of God comes to you, it will overwhelm your heart with a fulfillment unequaled by the nectar of 1,000 million human loves. Overflowing all boundaries, that love embraces everyone and everything. You feel that all mankind is yours, that everyone is a part of your own family. Overflowing all boundaries, that love embraces everyone and everything. You feel that all mankind is yours, that everyone is a part of your own family. In that love, I see every human being as my own. I am a friend to all and an enemy to none, because I see God in everyone. In that love, I see every human being as my own. I am a friend to all and an enemy to none, because I see God in everyone. Now, in addition to spending some time dwelling on the key thoughts in each paragraph, the welcome booklet says some students find it helpful to underscore important points, or to make notations in the margin of the lesson, or in a separate notebook. And if we encounter an unfamiliar term, we can look that up in the handbook and glossary that is given to each lesson student. It looks like this, and at the back of it there's a glossary that has some definitions of terms you may not be familiar with. So we dwell deeply on the key thoughts in a paragraph, then we move on to the next paragraph and the next paragraph. Now, as we're going through the study process, the welcome booklet gives us this final third step that Master recommended. And it says, take time to reflect and write down how the truths you're reading can be put into actual practice in your own daily life. So after we've read a number of paragraphs, focusing on the important points in them, we can go back and look at the key points and think, how can I apply this in my life? How can I put this into practice? And at this point in your study, you must resist. Resist thinking, wow, this would be such a great principle for my wife to apply in her life. Or this is exactly what my husband needs to apply in his life. I'm going to write down this quote and put it in his briefcase. Once, a mother was preparing pancakes for her 2 young sons, Kevin, who was 5, and Ryan, who was 3. And as sometimes happens between brothers, they were arguing over who was going to get the first pancake. And the mother saw this and thought, this is a great opportunity to teach a moral lesson. And she looked at them and said, boys, if Jesus were here, he would say, let my brother have the first pancake. I can wait. And Kevin, the older boy, his eyes lit up. And the mother thought, finally, I'm getting through to him. And Kevin looked at his younger brother and said, Ryan, you be Jesus. So, as we're going through studying these various principles, the question that Paramahansa Yogananda wants us to ask and answer is, how can I apply this in my own life? And as we're doing that, we can also think, if we apply it, how will that improve my life? If I become more considerate of others, if I meditate more regularly, if I worry less, if I pray more, how will that benefit my life? How will that give me more happiness to share with others? In the online study and introspection guide for each lesson, it says, as you reread the lesson, consciously motivate your enthusiasm and commitment to practice by making mental or written notes of how the teachings in this lesson will improve your life and hasten your spiritual progress. So let's go back to that paragraph that we read just recently. And this time let's read it through, but think, how can I apply this in my life? And how by applying it will my life improve? Master said, when the love of God comes to you, it will overwhelm your heart with a fulfillment unequaled by the nectar of 1,000 million human loves. Overflowing all boundaries, that love embraces everyone and everything. You feel that all mankind is yours, that everyone is a part of your own family. In that love, I see every human being as my own. I am a friend to all and an enemy to none, because I see God in everyone. How can I apply this in my life? And how will that improve my life? So, in a typical study period, a person can begin by deeply thinking of Paramahansa Yoganandaji's presence, visualize him at the Christ Center, try to be open and receptive, to His living presence. We can perhaps read one of the prayers in the lesson and just be praying it with the Guru, trying to tune in with his consciousness. Then we can, if we're on the second phase, we can read paragraph by paragraph, pondering, dwelling on, meditating on the key points in each paragraph, going from paragraph to paragraph. And then, near the end of our study period, we can go back to those key points and think, how can I apply this key point? How can I apply that one? And if I applied these in my life, how would my life improve? Now, regarding the very final part of our study period, Mrinalini Ma once said, lastly, each day before you begin your duties, take one thought from what you have studied and say, now today I will concentrate upon this. And so we can memorize a line or two, or we can write it on a piece of paper, like this one here, and put it in our wallet or purse. Mrinalini Ma went on to say, every now and then, stop and reflect upon that particular guidance of Guru that you have determined to apply, and repeat it to yourself. Then analyze your actions and think, am I manifesting this? Am I manifesting this? So let's go back to our paragraph again and choose one thought that we could take with us throughout the day. Since I'm leading the class this year, I'll choose the thought. But next year, if you're leading the class, I'd be happy to let you choose the thought. So our thought for the day is this one. I am a friend to all and an enemy to none, because I see God in everyone. Now, when we take a thought like that, and then at certain points in our day, review that thought and think, am I manifesting this? It can really help to guide our attitudes. It can help to guide our behavior during the day and improve our attitudes and behavior. And that leads us to greater peace of mind, greater inner happiness, greater attunement with God and Guru. When we're actually applying His teachings in a conscious way, where we're making that effort, it helps us to more deeply assimilate into our being, into our very selves, these spiritual principles. They just cement themselves into our consciousness and begin to influence our attitudes and behavior in a greater and greater way. Again, putting us in attunement with God and Guru, which leads to such great inner happiness. And as we study these thoughts, we'll find that they're very nuanced. There's aspects to them that we uncover and explore as we're practicing them. To be a friend to all does not mean that you have to agree with the behavior, all the behavior and actions and thoughts of other people. No. We can tell the difference between right behavior and wrong behavior. But when we disagree with someone, we can do it as a friend. We can do it with that loving attitude within, we can be firm in our disagreement, but we would be kind, considerate. Even when Christ was hanging on the cross, He could pray, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. He was a friend to all. He will eternally be a friend to all. As will Krishna, as will Buddha, as will our own Guru and beloved line of Gurus. Can we walk in their sacred footsteps? Can we learn to be more of a friend to all? Now we have the option to choose a new spiritual thought every day, or we can stay with the same thought for a number of days. we can experiment and just see what works best for us. The main point is that we are applying something. And again, as we apply the teachings, we absorb, we assimilate these principles more deeply into our consciousness, and they can begin to help and guide us in many different situations in life. Master said, if you practice 1/1,000,000th of the things that I tell you in these Thursday night meetings, you will reach God. Mrinalini Ma once shared a little story about how the wisdom of the teachings comes back to guide us if we are studying them deeply and trying to apply them in our lives. Once she had gone on a spiritual retreat, and she felt a mood of discouragement coming on. We all go through tests in life, and we all go through temporary moods. And on this particular day, she went outside of the retreat and was just walking up and down in front of the retreat, telling herself, "Oh, how unhappy I am." But then some words of Master that she had studied came strongly into her mind. He had said, "You must always be happy." And she inwardly answered that thought by thinking, "I don't see any reason to be happy." In response, another thought of Master that she had studied came strongly into her mind. He had said, "Nothing can make you unhappy if you choose to be happy. And nothing can make you happy if you choose to be unhappy." And so this process, this tug of war, went on for a while, where she would think a discouraging thought, but then a thought that she had studied from Master's teachings would come to her, would flash into her mind. Mrinalini Ma said, "I felt like I had had a verbal tussle with Master, and as always, he had won." She said, "Such a joy came into my being as I stood there in the darkness, laughing out loud. That mood, that sadness completely disappeared. I felt that my heart was just going to burst with joy, because Master, in his own words, had guided me." That has happened to me so many times, because through the years, I've made the effort to really assimilate everything that Master has said. So this is why I'm stressing to you all the importance, not only of reading and being inspired by Guru's beautiful words, but by meditating upon them and thinking deeply how you can apply them in your life. As many of you know, the Basic Lessons series consists of 18 lessons, one of which is mailed to your home every 2 weeks. And by following the in-depth study program that I've described today, many people feel that they're ready to move on to the next lesson when it arrives in the mail. But if you ever feel that you need more time to study a particular lesson, then take that time. Just go at your own pace. We should consider the study of the lessons to be a lifelong practice. We're absorbing more and more and more of the Guru's wisdom over time. Our understanding is progressing, we're progressing spiritually, but it's a gradual process. And so don't ever feel that you have to master everything in one lesson before you go on to the next lesson. If that were true, then I would probably have to stay on lesson number 1 for the rest of my life. So we study, we absorb, we assimilate, and then we move on to practicing the next lesson. And again, Master comes back to these key things about the spiritual path, these key principles in different lessons. And so as we study, we'll come across them again and again and again. Spiritual study is a lifelong practice. And if you cannot spend the full recommended half hour for your study period, then just do the best you can. And try at least studying a little bit every day. If we make spiritual study a daily habit, it will transform our lives. And it will give us unending guidance and inspiration. So a little bit, at least a little bit every day. At the end of each lesson, there is a list of online auxiliary content, such as audio recordings of the voice of Paramahansa Yogananda, audio and video instruction concerning the techniques of meditation that are taught in the lessons. There is an online study and introspection guide, as well as other items. And you can access these using your computer or using your cell phone. And on the cell phone app, there's also a digital version of the lessons. So consider this online content to be optional. If you have time, feel free to study it. Many devotees really get a lot of instruction from it. However, we strongly recommend that you use the printed lessons as your primary source of spiritual study. The calm, intuitive method of study that we've been talking about today is more profound when we study the printed lessons than versus studying them online. Nevertheless, the digital lessons and other online content are wonderful, and we can use them to enhance our study of the printed lessons. So we've covered a lot of material today, and your test on this material will be on Friday. I'm just joking. Let's just say life will be our test. And that happens every day of the week. And I'm sure all of you, by meditating regularly, studying the lessons, will pass this test with flying colors. So I'd just like to leave you with these summary thoughts today. Spiritual study involves cultivating intuition, developing our intuition. And so it is very, very important at the beginning of our study periods to consciously put ourselves into a calm, devotional, concentrated frame of mind. And so I would just like to leave you with these summary thoughts today. Spiritual study involves developing our intuition. At the beginning of our study periods, it is very important to consciously put ourselves into a calm, devotional, concentrated frame of mind. This helps us to be more receptive to that living wisdom of the Guru that he is conveying through his words. And so, by thinking of the Guru deeply, that he is very near, that he is with us, by visualizing him at the Christ Center, perhaps praying one of the prayers that are in the lessons, feeling we are praying it with the Guru, we are tuning in, we are becoming devotionally receptive. In these ways we open ourselves to that living, ever-living presence of the Guru, ever-living presence of God, and we become more intuitively aware of them and receiving their blessings, receiving their wisdom, receiving their love in a more conscious way that uplifts our consciousness and carries us along on the spiritual path. Guruji said, "I shall always be watching over each one of you. And whenever a true devotee thinks of me in the silent depths of his soul, he will know that I am near." And so let's just take one final moment to just close our eyes, lift our gaze to the Christ center, visualize Paramahansa Yogananda ji there. Try to feel the blessings, feel the love, feel the peace that he is pouring into our soul. And now let us practice again that affirmation we practiced earlier. And this time, let us focus on the words, but also be devotionally receptive to the vibration of his divine consciousness behind those sacred words. So please repeat after me. I relax and cast aside all mental burdens, allowing God to express through me his perfect love, peace, and wisdom. I relax and cast aside all mental burdens, allowing God to express through me his perfect love, peace, and wisdom. I relax and cast aside all mental burdens, allowing God to express through me his perfect love, peace, and wisdom. And now just quietly feel within. Feel that living presence of the Guru. Feel that divine uplifting vibration of peace, of love, of joy. I'd just like to close our class today by sharing with you the very first words of Master that you'll find in the very first lesson, where he talks about how each one of us can find God. Our beloved Guru said, when students tune in with the wisdom of a God-sent Guru preceptor, then by their efforts to follow the Guru's teaching, and by the inner guidance, blessings, and grace they receive from the Guru, each one can find liberation. When students tune in with the wisdom of a God-sent Guru preceptor, then by their efforts to follow the Guru's teaching, and by the inner guidance, blessings, and grace they receive from the Guru, each one can find liberation. Jai Guru.
This has been a production of Self-Realization Fellowship, a non-profit organization founded by Paramahansa Yogananda in 1920. For more information about Self-Realization Fellowship and Paramahansa Yogananda, please visit yogananda.org.